discussion only, as we do have an action item following the open discussion. So everyone should have signed in to respect everyone's time. We're asking if everyone can keep it to 10 minutes or less to allow the court to address any questions that they may have. And then as soon as we get the list back, I'll give it over to the judge. Oh, sorry. That's okay.
Are either of you presenting? Are either of you presenting? Are you presenting a request to the court?
Yes, sir.
It was definitely okay, good, Sean, you ready? You're up.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, that I've had to deal with some staffing issues this past 7 months. Normally, I have 2 full-time clerks in my office, and one of them was a unfortunate accident victim, and she has still not been able to return to work since her accident on the 5th of January. I have a temporary seasonal employee who has been filling in, but she's only limited to 29 hours a week, so I'm working at a deficit every week that this continues to go on, which makes me realize that my office is insufficiently staffed based on the 1 chief clerk, 1 regular full-time clerk. My request to you is to allow for a 3rd full-time person, which is a 2nd clerk position. Part of my proposal to you is that the county is mandated by law to have a youth diversion program in place as of 1 January 2025. The state of Texas is willing to partially fund or entirely fund that position of juvenile diversion coordinator. I see a win-win where we can have juvenile diversion coordinator position filled by somebody who's already doing that job. Because, as you know, I deal with a lot of drug use and I deal with a lot of juveniles. I try to employ the juvenile diversion strategy of anybody that's under the age of 17, having them do other things. With that, the state could pick up the extra 11 hours, essentially, to make this a full-time position for her, whereas we would still be paying the 29 hours of that position from county funds, 11 from the state. That would satisfy the requirement for filling that job. I've already spoken with Mr. Teresa Nels and Grace Ferreira about taking that juvenile diversion coordinator position and having it housed in my office, which would encompass doing that for the entire county throughout all 4 precincts. I'll pause there to see if you have any questions.
In terms of that position that's out, injured personnel, And was that wasn't, that's not workers' comp.
No, that was an accident at home. I've been in constant communication with her, and she doesn't really know when she's going to get doctor's approval to come back. So it's been 7 months. It might be another 2 months. She is still undergoing physical therapy 3 times a week. So even if she does come back with her doctor's approval, she's essentially going to be working part-time hours because she'll only work partial day 3 days a week and a full day 2 days a week.
So you're asking for a full-time position and keeping a part-time position. Well, your 29 hours, you're asking in addition to a full-time position and still keeping the 29 hours?
I'm making it so that I have 1 chief clerk and 2 regular clerks.
And what about this position you're using right now?
That would be the third person would be essentially 2/3 of the pay would be from the county, the other third would be the state.
No, what he's asking is if you're going to continue with your seasonal temporary line item.
No, I don't want the temporary seasonal line item. At the very least, I need that converted to a temporary, a part-time position throughout the year. So temporary seasonal.
So it's 3.5.
So you're requesting a full-time and a part-time?
No. You had it right. He's got a part-time person. He just wants to take that from part-time to full-time.
Correct.
He still has his his person in and out will either be replaced or come back at some point.
At some point. So that position is still going to be on the books as full-time. It's just that right now we haven't paid out that salary in months. Because I've had the temporary seasonal extended until her return. But I don't see an end in sight.
For clarification, we have paid out the salary,
Oh.
but not to that employee.
Correct.
We're paying it to the temporary person.
Yes. So, that's me, for the majority of what I'm asking is just to make sure that I have sufficient personnel on staff and we satisfy the requirement from the state. So I see it as making an allocation for that person to still do the functions within my office and do something for the benefit of the county at the same time.
Is this funded through the state, is it a grant, or is this something that, how is this going to be paid out by the state?
I'm not exactly certain. I do know that other counties have been paid out through the state. I don't want to lie to you. I don't know how they're being paid through the state. Making funds available to pay that.
I have deferred it. That's been handled by county attorney's offices.
So it's a brand new mandate that was supposed to take effect January 1st of this year. That every county and every municipal and justice is supposed to have a coordinator.
Okay, do you have the bill number by any chance for me to research?
Hold on 1 second. It was Article 45.309, Chapter 45, Subchapter B. And I'll just give you this folder with all the details in it, so that way I won't waste anybody else's time. Here's the microphone. So with that, it would save on having 3 other people within the court to have that coordinator position within each justice court. We have 1 for the county, then that person could be the coordinator for all. We don't have that many to justify a full-time coordinator for each justice court, but we do have enough to justify 1 coordinator that could service all 4. Okay, thank you.
You're on there.
afternoon, everyone. I'm here on behalf of Teresa Nettles, the county attorney, to discuss our office budgetary needs and plans for next year. And what I've provided you is a general fund and general expenses of the county attorney's office. We are asking for a slight increase on continuing education and conferences. And that's because we have some additional staff and additional training requirements that we are wanting to participate in on the civil matters, or civil nature as well as some criminal. Right now we're under budget for this year, but there's a big conference coming up in August that will take the remaining of that budget in Austin. And so that is a slight increase from, I believe it's a 6,000 to 11,000 would be the increase for the budget for the conferences. I think everything else would, we're asking to remain the same. I think we've remained under budget with minimal spending. What we are asking for is some additional staffing. Today at the court this morning, half of a part-time investigator was approved. For the upcoming year, we'd like to make Mr. Monk a full-time investigator, just because of the needs of our office in prosecuting these cases. He is certified. He also, we plan to use him also to help with investigations and also helping in preparation for court and preparation for trial. So we anticipate needing him more than part-time, and are asking for full-time. We also have a part-time attorney, Trent Rao, who would like to make him a full-time civil attorney to kind of assist with the additional civil requirements. We'd like to have him assist more with planning and development, as we know that's a growing area. We'd also like to have, he's helping with some of the constable cases, that's what he's working on part-time. And we'd like to move away from having to hire outside counsel. There is a budget where we hire outside attorneys, but at this point we'd like to handle as much as we can in-house to really know what's going on with the county. I've taken on handling some of the federal cases, being licensed in federal court. I've handled some of the discrimination cases that we have, so I'm doing that. We also handle the Bell Ranch matters going on, where normally it would be outsourced to an outside law firm. And we'd like to really avoid that, have everything done in-house where we have attorneys that are accessible to all of the county's needs. So that is a request that we will be making, is to make our investigator full-time as well as our part-time attorney, Trent Rao, to full-time. Those are the staffing requests that will be made for the upcoming. Any questions?
Can you tell me if either of those positions are currently or will currently be funded by SB 22?
I don't believe so.
Neither one of them are currently?
I don't know about
I believe Trent is currently funded by SB 22, but the investigator position is not, but may be, since it was originally slated on that. So I think
So just for clarification, the reason I asked that so that the court is aware for the prosecutors SB 22 funds, that money is $175,000 that's allotted for the prosecuting office, and that is used to hire additional staffing for the county attorney's office, which would not require court approval, and that's why I was asking if these funds are going to be utilized. If SB 22 can be utilized for what you're asking for, or are you asking above and beyond what you already have planned for SB 22?
yes, I believe that we're asking for the court to please supplement whatever SB 22 will not.
go.
And I don't think we were able to get all of those numbers prior to today as far as.
So you had, the Starr County attorney got 2 investigators, you cut it back and actually put it down, you got one person part-time, right? So now you realize you need him full-time, okay? Right, is that?
That's exactly it.
Okay, so I'm good with that. So, and I guess then what you're saying on the attorney side is basically the same thing with enough cases and in order to save money instead of paying somebody $400 or $500 or $600 an hour, we're going to do it all. Yeah.
And I can't guarantee that we will be required to do everything. I'm sorry.
There's
I'll
some
come up there. I
points.
apologize.
There are some expertise, so we will have to go out, but as much as we're able to handle in-house to help with planning, development, with court, and with civil cases that come, we do like to do that before it's going out.
And I think that we've had such an influx, I think we've had such an influx in the civil cases that we're having to take in at this point. We are getting significant more public information requests that weren't coming to us before. I'm reviewing policies more than I think was being previously used. So the civil positions have significantly been increased as far as what we're having to do over here, including having, for Evelyn, has been taking on other cases. But I think that adding, it would just be moving Trent from part-time, since he's already doing the JP cases, to assisting us in the civil cases. I don't want to limit him to just the civil cases, though. I would just like to call it a full-time position, because if by chance we needed Trent, who has experience in doing something else, for us to be able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a question I had, so. Because I know that a lot of the problems we had, as we discussed of course this morning, is with development. And I know that nobody that sits up here is happy about that. It's very difficult for us to keep up with. And sometimes I think, or I feel, that if we had answers sooner, maybe we could have avoided some of them, but not necessarily. So is there, and I'm asking this because I thought of this for quite a while, is there a possibility that somebody can at least spend a couple of days each week when they're officing over at permit, so they have somebody that they can go to, and can somebody be assigned specifically to them to take care of and maybe show up over there a couple of days a week?
I don't necessarily think that we can have them situated over time specifically for permits. Can contact the attorney, and then we would have designated time for you guys to be able to contact the attorney, even if it's by phone or email or however you guys want to do it. But then we have a direct time of what we're doing, and I think that would help.
I think it would, if I may, is that I tried, and I know Lisa and I have tried to schedule regular monthly meetings before the planning meeting to address any issues or concerns and look for time and just work. We haven't been able to do that. I mean, we try as best we can, but we're not able to. And when she has questions before the actual planning meeting, and there was a point where we thought maybe outsourcing, going to a law firm that had experience in dealing with subdivisions and regulations might help. But the time, as indicated, it takes forever to get answers and responses, and that's just not good for the county. So if we did have somebody else that could help and be more available to the planning department, you might be able to anticipate some of the issues that are happening.
I want to go back to the full-time investigator, and I want to ask you, Judge Shaw, Judge Ribbon. Judge Ribbon, you came in, you said there's a new policy company coming up. Judge Shaw, you may know this too, but is there a law that's come out that we have to start monitoring the DWI folks that have been?
Basically what happened is we had a meeting, it's back up, we had a meeting with the district attorneys and the county attorneys representative. And the deal is the probation department for Wilson County is really funded through state funds. And due to that we're a rural area, they're helping out the county in part of the probation for interlocks, ignition control, ankle monitors and stuff like that. But they're only allowed to a lot like 10-15% of our overflow from the county. In other words, they take care of that. State probation officers take care of all that at a limited basis, which is 10 to 15%. Here lately, or the last year or so, they've been over-stepping that to 15, 20% more. In other words, what's happening is that they're trying to take care of what working through the state, but they're trying to help out on the county part, but a lot of it's falling through the cracks. Like you send somebody go to the probation department, and within 30 days they have an analog or income monitor, they don't show up. So when they don't show up, they don't know. So you've got this individual running around for could be months to years, and he's violating his bond conditions. So what we all kind of talked about recommending is that the county would form their own probation officer for department. And I discussed it with you, and I discussed it with Sheriff Stewart on that he be, how we work this out, he'd be willing to take on that responsibility. Am I correct, sir? And
So it wouldn't be anything that this full-time position would need to do here?
it could.
Okay. Is that something that he could do from time to time?
Your Honor, just so that the court understands I don't think so. I think that the court will need it, just so that the court understands what the issue is when somebody posts a bond, there's supposed to be somebody making sure that the bond conditions are followed. Right now, adult probation is reviewing that for us just out of the kindness of their own heart. What we need is almost like a coordination office that would be in charge of reviewing the bonds, possibly even the idea of drug testing and things like that. That's going to likely be a separate entity. They require, and that position would require supervision. Adult probation has also stated that they're happy to take that over as the supervisor, use their facilities if necessary, and then go ahead and assist them, since we've been doing it this entire time, making sure that they know what needs to happen. But this is something completely separate from our budget. This would be a completely different department at this point. Yes, it would be a pretrial services department.
Any other questions?
Good afternoon. I am requesting a full-time position for our department. It's just too much territory to cover to maintain all the facilities we have. We have about 7 facilities to take care of all the grass that we have to do all along. I get discussing the hedges in front of the sheriff's department or the all over the facilities by the library as well. It's just overwhelming that we have to take care of it. It's 2 people to do all that. Not the maintenance, do all the maintenance for all the buildings. There are individual buildings to be taken care of. And to stay on top of that and have to get all the packages that we need on big jobs, to get them going on, and after they're done, they have to go inspect the work so they can get paid. If they're not doing their job, they're not done. I'm not going to turn them to invoices. You know, I am requesting one more person full-time if possible.
Sheriff, don't you have a maintenance person that you're on? Take us to that person. I don't have a position. Is there a position open there for a maintenance person? So you're having to do the sheriff's department?
Yes, sir. I'm going to do the precinct 3 area, the library in La Vernia, doing the sheriff's department, setting out GPS office as well, doing this whole block here, the main courthouse, the tax office, the treasury department, doing the library inside and out, plugging pictures, tiles, and have to also have 3 community items to take care of as well. And that's just too much for 2 people. I can't see one person go to do all the lawn and not taking care of all the maintenance. It's impossible. So what we do, we tackle all the lawn, so I get called and I do the person alone. You only have 1 vehicle. So while we have 2 vehicles that they're going to wait to be auctioned off, and maybe we can get another truck for us so we can split up and do the jobs. But we need 2 people to do the lawn care. You know, so like I said, stay on top of the other maintenance required. You know.
Okay, I got a question. Are you able to do any preventative maintenance now at all?
I'm starting to, yeah, I'm quite more now than I did before. Well, a month and a half ago, I was doing that number, but we lost a person, and we just got one about 2 weeks ago. So I'm going back to Britain to do that preventive maintenance on the stuff. If I can't do that, it helps me a lot. It saves the county money. You know?
And also my other question is, you know, we canceled the lawn maintenance contract that didn't seem to be going very well. We thought we could do it ourselves cheaper. Do you still think that's the case?
Well,
But what you're saying is you need 1 person that's pretty much all that they do.
well, if you have 3, I think I can have 1 that can help me and help the lawn department. Whenever they need them, whenever I don't have nothing to do, we do it all day long, so I get called. See, but if we can have just 1 person do the lawn and have 1 help that person can do that all day, and I can do the maintenance work, we can go back and forth, you know. And during the winter, when there's no grass cut like that, something that is. We just move furniture, we do doors, we do windows, whatever needs to be done. You know, we can get caught up on our maintenance, on something needs to be done. I have a work order that I do, and something that I can't get to, he can text, hey, I need this done, so I just go ahead and do it. You know,
Sometimes you have the outsource, of course, air conditioning, plumbing, you have the outsource, right?
Yes. I do want to see all that, and it just, like the library, I do replace those flush valves. They're old, they don't, I'm changing the overhead on them, and it's I have to go to San Antonio and get a lot of parts that they don't have here in the 40s. So it takes time to go there, 40 minutes to go over there, 40 minutes back, that's an hour and a half or so. So that's every time I go over there. So I try to save time and get the stuff that I can all in 1 shot, instead of going every time for 1 item or whatever. So I get like 2 items that I need or 3 items that are, you know, and that's a fact. So I'm trying to save money for the county and that route. As you can see, I mean, the place looks real good right now. The maintenance, it looks, the lawn care is real nice right now. It just takes a lot of work for 2 people. So,
Yeah, control. It is looking good. You can let it grow another inch and a half higher before you can cut it.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Stevens? Ms. Stevens?
Oh,
Did you
I
sign?
just signed because they handed me a paper.
You don't need a budget? Ms. Marquette?
Good afternoon. So I have 3 things that I'm here to request budget on. One of them is we have old tax records that are housed in the back of my office. They are the old books that are really heavy. When you open them, the pages fall apart.
I did get a quote for scanning them for a company to come in and scan them. They would put them on a searchable file for us. If we do it all at once, the proposal came in at $60,674.41. I did, however, I spoke with them at the conference that I was at in June, and they said that some counties break it down into like quarters. So I requested that they give me information to do that. It's extremely higher to do it in quarters. Keep in mind, so to do a quarter of it, it would be $22,569.34. But that does not guarantee our price for the next 3 quarters. They're going to come in with a new quote each year to continue doing it. So if at all possible, I would, highly suggest doing the entire thing at one time. They would come into my office and do everything. And, I know some other offices know how those old records are, and you just open it and the books just fall apart. So each time you go into one of them, it just does more damage over and over. Y'all have any questions regarding that?
Yes. How long are you required to keep those records, and how long are they?
Forever. And they're back to the early 1900s.
And I'm sure this is a way that other counties have come to, well, any entity would be the best way to say that they're converting this over, and then you're getting it in the cloud, you're getting a hard copy that goes in a safe. What exactly do we get done once this process is finished?
They provide me with a hard copy, which I would then prefer to keep it on the shared drive so that it's backed up at all times. Plus, however they provide it to me, I would, if it's a SD card or if it's for a USB drive, I would keep it in the safe so that, if something ever happened to it on our system, I would, still be able to maintain it or have it.
So you keep it forever. What mandate is there? I mean, how often do these old books get asked for? We need to follow up on, or
I'll be honest, it's not a lot, maybe, 10, 15 times a year. But, it's very difficult for my employees to go in and look at these books. And ultimately, it's something that y'all would want to preserve over time.
What kind of records are they?
So before the appraisal districts were created in the 1980s, it is all of the records that show your land values. It's all of that up until the appraisal districts were created. They're more than welcome to come look at them. I'll pull them for you. And at one time I had talked to the library because I know that they had a scanner that they were able to do that with. They took one of my books, but they haven't been able to, get that information done. So, I was going to put them on an external hard drive, but, they had one of my books, and I have not reached back out to Nikki to inquire about it. But that would take a really long time for them to scan all of these records. On another note, I did purchase a scanner a few years ago that I'm using to scan all of my daily stuff. So I've got a pretty good record of, as soon as something is able to be destroyed, we've got a very good rotating system to where that stuff can go so my new stuff can replace it. And that scanner's my best friend.
so these old books, are they of historical significance?
I would say so.
So once you get them transferred, are you going to keep them still?
Yes, I don't have any intention on getting rid of them. It's just if you have it.
Making the information more accessible.
Right. Yes.
So you've got room to store them.
Yes.
So you do have the information.
Mm-hmm.
Upgrade it to
Yes.
digital form.
Yeah, we just wouldn't cause any future damage to them, by, opening them and trying pages and stuff.
And we as a county are required to keep that on the record and give it to the president of your health records.
Yeah, no, they have to remain in our office.
Are these in boxes already, or?
No, they're books on the shelf in my storage area.
So it's not something that like our previous records retention company would have already scanned like prior to use, like back in the 80s or 90s? And do you know if there's probably no, but just for clarification, like the clerk, district and county clerk have a records preservation fund. Is there any type of funding provided for tax assessors' offices?
No.
Yes, but they collect, they collect fees.
That's what.
Yeah.
So do you have more than one bid or just that one?
I just received the one bid for, this is a company that, I know does this, and they're regularly at our conferences. So I only received a bid from them. I'd be happy to see if there's other companies. Maybe Genevieve can give me the name of the company that did her records, and it may be the same one. Scott Merriman? No? Okay. Then I can definitely look into the one that, she used. I'd be happy to do that.
We could also check with RCI, which is our records management company that comes and destroys and indexes all over it. I don't know if that's something that they do. I know that they scan the files that we have in order to determine destruction date. I don't know if they do what you're asking, but we can find out.
I do not remember discussing the old books with them.
Okay.
I did all of the boxes that my employees are currently scanning. Yes, that is a quote that we got from them. They were outrageously high to do that, but I'd be happy to reach out to them as well.
I don't know if it's something that they do, but
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe the people that Genevieve is using, they do all restoration of those records.
Yeah. I will reach out. I'll get the information from Genevieve, and I'll reach out to them to see if they can provide me with the quotes. Request is security within my office. I don't want somebody to be sitting there all day long. I am requesting that maybe our courthouse security, make a presence throughout my office, a couple times a day, once a day, just periodically, set time during tax season, we can, wrap it up and, do it a couple times a day or 3 or 4 times a day. That would be great. I did speak with the sheriff a little bit about it, but this is a request that my employees have made. So, I would really, appreciate if y'all would, consider our courthouse security to be able to do something like that for not only my office, but other offices too. That would definitely be a good thing for the county.
What's their concern?
Number one, angry taxpayers. Number two, the amount of money that comes to my office. Yeah, it's, I'm not going to go into numbers, but the numbers are there. And like I said, when I was speaking to my employees about requests, this is one thing that they had requested. So I said, absolutely right. I think we're in a position to where, we should be able to, have somebody come through and help us out with that.
Have y'all ever had any threats?
Oh, we get threats all the time. Yeah. I mean, we've never had, there's threats, on a weekly basis, but not a, particular threat where, we're going to come do this. It's, there's days where our lobby is full of people. It's just something that I would think y'all would want to consider, not only for the staff in the county, but, for our taxpayers as well.
Is your office equipped with scanning buttons?
Yes,
How often do y'all get a state for the appraisal district?
every day, all day long.
That warrants security.
Any further questions on that? Okay, my last thing, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but employee salaries. I cannot stress enough to y'all how much the increase from last year has helped within my office. I would definitely like for y'all to consider, if y'all are even considering this year for employees, to do a flat across the board, a set number, not a percentage. When you do a percentage, it raises the difference between your lower paid employees to your higher paid employees. And as y'all know, my office has quite a few of the lowest paid employees. So it's definitely something I would, request that y'all consider. I would also like to consider getting that bottom number raised up again. Once again, last year's raise was very nice for everybody, but the bottom employees are, the ones in my office are the ones that bring in all the money for the county. So it makes sense to me that we should pay them accordingly for that. Not to mention the training that they have to go through. In order for one clerk to even get on the DMV system, there's, over 20 courses with the DMV that they have to complete just to log into the system. That's before they can even start processing things. So, definitely would appreciate y'all's consideration on that. Thank you.
I have two ladies signed up that are not any of our team members. I'm going to allow you to speak because it's an important subject and topic for the county. That'd be Ms. Barnett and Ms. Budd. No, you call me a lot.
I think we still have another department here from.
Okay.
Whenever. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry.
I should know.
It won't take long.
Okay.
Come on. Okay, so both these ladies represent the animal shelters, correct? We know Sheriff and I have had meetings with these two ladies, and they understand the need. I think the last thing we talked about, there was, how many, it was a $50,000 dump cost to build how many kennels?
10.
10 that would be dedicated
To the
to the
county.
county.
Yes.
And then we were talking between 100 and 110,000
Yes.
for the whole year and making no service.
Yes.
Now, I do know that y'all submitted to me your proposal, pretty high, but I don't know if there's an appetite for the county to want to pay for spay and neuter. We added that in there, so we're not sure that can be done. So let's hear what you got.
Sorry. Well, so my name is Brady Barnett. I am the current president of the Wilson County Medical Animal Shelter. I was the vice president for the past 5 years until Alina Melinda stepped down in December of 24, whereas I took over after that. We have a whole new board of directors and everything else, but I do also work part-time at Decent Animal Hospital. We do get majority of our dogs between Decent Animal Hospital and the low-cost spay and neuter Alliance for Animal Wellbeing down on 181. We use both of them for spays, neuters, Decent. We buy all of our vaccines from there, which is probably about $3,500 a month just in vaccines alone to keep the dogs vaccinated that we house both at the facility and in foster. We have 62 currently at the shelter right now. That's dogs, but we have over 100 in foster. And that's not to mention all the stories that y'all saw on the way to work this morning, because they're everywhere. So there is a need. We are not government funded. We are a 501c3, and I work tirelessly to try to raise money day in and day out.
I'm the one that, feet on the ground, hit the ground running, let's do this. But with everything going on, donations have slowed down tremendously, and we are currently in a pretty bad deficit as far as the shelter is concerned. We have 6 bags of dog food as of yesterday. The puppy food bank does help us periodically with that, but this is our last year that they're going to be helping us. And it's only 14 bags a month that we get, and we go through that in about 2 weeks' time. So we are providing dog food for less fortunate people that have animals in order for them to keep them. We try to provide spay and neuter services for people that have found a dog or picked up a dog or whatever the case may be. My dog already had puppies. That's what we're here for. We are here to help the community and the county as well as help all the homelessness in the county as well. I will say that it has tremendously increased that people from San Antonio are driving out here and dumping their dogs in Wilson County. So the need is there, financial, emotional, volunteers. I mean, I have to pay people. You can't get people to come in and clean dog food 24/7, 365 days a year for nothing. So unfortunately, I do have to pay people to do that. This county facility, we would have someone that is strictly in charge of those county dogs. The county dogs would be in a total separate building. As they go through their whole period and all of that, then they will transfer over to the shelter. I am a licensed animal control officer for the state of Texas, so we had mentioned and discussed if they have a call that they need me to help with, then that's what I do. I'm only working 4 to 9 at Beacon Animal Hospital Monday through Thursday, so the rest of the time I'm free. I don't take vacation or anything like that because we've got dogs to take care of. So I am asking for your support in trying to clean up Wilson County and all the strays that we currently have.
So we're continuing to share my one work with you to try to get this problem resolved. So what I want to do is the latest budget request that you showed, what you're applying item for. I'm going to share with the commissioners and then have somebody put on that as well.
Okay.
Okay?
That's great. I appreciate it.
I'll get that to them today.
Okay. Thank y'all for your time. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Don't leave yet.
Okay. I'll let you that question. I apologize.
Yeah, don't get off that easy.
Okay.
So, right now, you do have a relationship with the city of Floresville?
Yes, I have a relationship with the city of Floresville, the city of Livonia, and we do have a contract with St. Hedwig because they get no help from their county. And I am currently working with the city of Stockdale to help them. I've been taking all of their animals for the past 3 months. I don't question it. I'm like, and that's what we do. That's what the contract would be. It's not a yes, no. It is yes, let me see what I can figure out. Let me rearrange things. Let me move things around. I will make it work.
And there's a lot of animal activity in Stockdale, which you don't know. Well, dogs and cats.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to hear y'all are taking care of St. Hedwig and nobody's taking care of Sullivan Springs, which has a huge animal problem.
Well, so we already take care of Wilson County, but we have an additional contract with St. Hedwig.
St. Hedwig pays them.
Yeah.
To take care of them.
Yes, I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. When I say we have a contract, we are being paid. We're only being paid $10,000 a year, which doesn't even, that's about, 40 dogs, 50 dogs a year. Because it costs us, to go through Alliance, it costs about $375 a dog to get fed. At Beacon Animal Hospital, it's closer to $450. And our adoption fee is $200. Now, in the last 8 weeks, I have sent out almost 100 dogs to Wisconsin that Wilson County Health Care has to fully vet and pay transport in order to get them out of here. But it's the only way that I can move dogs is to partner up with these other rescues. Now, when they have the funds, they'll sometimes send us a check back for partial payment, whatever. But it's more of a relationship of let's move dogs out of this county so that I have room to take in more.
And we're only growing, as you well know, Wilson County is only growing, it's only going to get worse. And this is all volunteers, all community people volunteering their time.
Yeah, I don't make a dime. I don't get paid. We're a 501, so we can't pay anybody, especially a board of director, to do anything. I can pay employees, but they're contract services. So.
That answers your question.
In part, and I have the book face, and whenever my mind says that I'll go ahead and put up with it. Of course, you had recent things, as recent as yesterday, and then a couple of weeks ago, that have been going on.
It's all the same issue, and it's all driven by the former shelter manager. Which is why we formed a separate 501c3 to run the same.
And I will tell you, we are rebranding. We are going through all of that. We are going to change everything. But we have our policies and procedures in place. What happened a few weeks ago, whatever, was nothing illegal, unethical, or immoral was done. It was by the book, by the law. Nothing was wrong. But do I regret doing it? Yes. But given the fact that I was given, that's where that choice came to me.
And to kind of further that, rebranding is excellent. I'll speak for myself, but I think you need to rebrand because we have people that want to affiliate that organization with this county. And I've had to tell them, we are not affiliated with them, and so if you have an argument, you're going to have to take it somewhere else because I'm not here to argue for the actions of somebody else that happens to share a name.
Yeah.
And so it's not that I don't appreciate what efforts y'all have put forth because I do. And you're in a spot. Okay. That's just the best way that you can put it.
But I am 100% an open book. And I do believe in humane euthanasia. I've grown up that way. I worked at East Animal Hospital for 13 years. I agree with it. It has to happen. For aggression reasons, I mean, we had to put 2 German Shepherds. We confiscated 13. 17 asked for our assistance. We went out there. We took in 13. 2 of them cornered us in the back of the kennel. We had to climb over because they were snarling and lunging. Those 2 went straight to defense to be humanely euthanized. I cannot lose the shelter because I chose to adopt out a dog that has shown behavior issues. It's not going to happen with me. So, I mean, it is what it is. I can't.
And this is on a volunteer basis, climbing kennels. Just one of our inherent government.
But if you have other questions, my number is 100% available. Y'all call me and ask me. I am, like I said, I'm an open book. I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal. I worked for Walmart for 20 years as a manager. I've been there, I've done that. I work at Decent. Now I'm just taking care of the shelter. That's who I am, that's what I want to do.
If you want a number, I have.
Yes, he's got it. And I do not mind that number being handed out to anybody who has questions.
I just have a question for clarification, and Judge, you may be able to answer this. I did review the proposal, but I just want to clarify, is the request for an annual contribution from the county, or is it a request for the county to create a county-funded department to manage animal control in Wilson County? That's 2 different things for the budget.
Well, just add that, I'm not sure how we can pay for this.
It's a public-private partnership.
Okay, but whatever our legal department says we can do, I mean.
And I think it would be considered like our annual contribution that we pay for the other 501c3s, like the Children's Alliance and those type of organizations. So that would be considered an annual contribution if that's what we were going to do. I just need to know for budget purposes if that was what the request is for an
The
annual
only thing is that those contributions that we do, I don't know that there's a caveat of services to be performed that we can guarantee that we're going to get for us.
Yeah, it have to be a contract.
And that's what the total contribution and the exchange
Right.
services for the contribution of the state's own entity, its own governing entity, as opposed to the county, as you mentioned, creating a department under the
I will say one more thing. Right now, everybody at the sheriff's department has my number on speed dial, and I get a phone call about every 2 to 3 days asking for assistance, and I've never once said no. I will find someone to go handle it and do what we need to do because that's the relationship that we need to have in order to get this under control and handle the stray population here in Wilson County.
It's a common practice across the country for governments to enter into public-private partnerships, having 501c3s manage their animal facilities or their animal services, because government doesn't have the expertise, and it's too expensive for them to do that. And we're gonna be doing vaccine clinics and, you know what I mean, and anything that we can, education programs for children, all of that. We want to incorporate all of that into our new rebranded shelter.
Well, I think the biggest headaches before that were addressed were if government did, the mandates that were in place for what we had to do might be a lot more stringent than what the mandates are for an outside source to take and perform the same duties.
Well, and then the other thing is we need to make sure that there is a complete separation of services and that there's good audit trail for where our money goes. That's what we have to do. So that's what we're going.
So that's why we propose it as a monthly fee, as opposed to a line item, which makes it easier for the teachers.
Yeah, that's true, but, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I haven't seen the proposal, so I don't know. I don't have an opinion.
So it's proposed as a contractor services, basically, not as a contribution, but as a contractor service. Animal control services. Yes, we appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
First, Nicole apologizes, she can't be here, she's on her way to her conference, and this man had to leave, so, you're left with me. First, our first request is to increase the budget line for parts and repairs equipment to, $6,100 to help us get a new copy machine. And then the second one is to increase the conference and dues line item for travel for, $7,500.
I don't have that. What was it for?
For which one?
For the conference?
For the conference was $7,055.
What was it now? What is it now? What you're asking for an increase is
It's $7,000.
It's 7,000, so at add 500 is what we're asking.
How much was the copy machine?
The lease for the new copy machine would be $3,600 for the year. We worked with Jason to get the quote for that.
Jason Lee. There's Gordon.
I mainly moved money around to put it for being spent more efficiently, which is a lot more training that increase on the budget, and I wanted to bring this to y'all's attention because I have some commissioner support, is mainly because the bond is more. Last year the bond was more than what we budgeted, but it is Senate Bill 387 was signed into law, and it requires both me and Judge Whitman to have a $500,000 bond effective September 1st of this year. So we'll be bringing that back to Commissioner's Court just because that's before the budget would be approved for this next year. And I got Judge Whitman to reach out to Tally Benefits to see how much that increase is going to cost. And for me, the quote is an additional $4,037.95. So when I add that to what last year's was, it's roughly $5,700. So I just need to increase that line item so we can comply with the new law that we have. And no less than $5,700, and hopefully it's not more than that. Any questions?
Any other requests?
No, just want to be able to run that along, that's all.
I'm stupid.
Thank you, Judge.
Mine's $1,500. Thank you.
Yes.
We had $800,000 on that.
Yeah, I'm just looking for the line item.
It's 4681 official deputy bonds and insurance.
Oh, that's why I couldn't find it, it's not here. And
For the other county court of law, so it's Department 0698. Anything else?
Hello, Commissioners. I am asking for a modest increase this year in two accounts, the small equipment and the computer software and support, approximately $75,000. We have a few issues that need to be addressed this year. We have 3 firewalls that are deprecated, which is the hardware itself. It's deprecated in August, so we need to purchase new ones, and that includes the software and support that goes along with them. We also have our Exchange server, which is on-premise, it's not in the cloud. That is deprecated in October of this year, Microsoft. So we need to replace that, migrate it to a new system. We also need to replace some of the switches that have aged out throughout the county, and we have about 6 servers that need to be replaced because they're too old. I've been basically keeping them alive this year just with spare parts. Dawn's was the last one that went out on me. Luckily, I had the parts that's in there and replace it, but they're just aging out. They're too old. We also need to still replace workstations. Some of our workstations are 8 to 10 years old, which is way too old for someone to be working on it. Also, I would like to introduce cloud drives to the county, encrypted cloud drives. We've already have done it for some of the managers that are in the county, and they really like it, so it's working out well for them. Also, we need to look at an actual real backup system. Right now, we do have backups, but they're on-premise. So what that means is the actual server that's being backed up is being backed up by servers that's right next to it. So if there's a fire or a flood, you lose both anyway. So you need an option to get it up into the cloud. Just as an example, the sheriff's office alone is 70 terabytes. That's a lot. Maybe we could look through it together, and maybe some of it's aged out and doesn't need all of that data, but I bet he needs the majority of it. And right now, I am just physically, as soon as I got here, I found that, obviously, that was one of the most worrisome things I found. And I started physically, manually backing up some of these servers and then moving them around the county, the data. So like the AS400 for the JPs, I back that up and I make sure those tapes are backed up and moved to other buildings in the county. And I've done the same thing with some of the sheriff's data. Unfortunately, to manually back it up, he's got too much. It's 70 terabytes. I think I'll just go with, I got 40 terabytes that I back up physically and move around, and I try to keep that up to date for him. And it's the data that he most uses. So we need to really look into improving that right now. We need an off-site location to keep this data. The cloud will be the best and easiest way to do that. Let's see, anything else? And I don't think this $75,000 is going to pay for all that. This is just to get us through with the firewalls and maybe the Exchange server, and maybe a couple of the switches.
The
I'm not asking for all.
$75,000 is what you're requesting in small
In
equipment,
addition.
in addition to.
Yeah, so the small equipment for computer software and support, the 15K, is going to help with the Exchange migration, and some of the other licensing that's popped up over the last months. The small equipment, that's going to be going towards switches, servers, and also, switches and servers, and maybe some APs at this point.
I'm just trying to get clarification, 2 separate line items. dollar amount for each of those line items that you're requesting?
60 additional dollar amount or the actual dollar amount?
Actually,
90,000 for small equipment,
okay.
4329, and 50 for computer software and support. That's 4502. And so we have about 6 switches that probably need to be switched out. I would like to do it this year. I know it's all on the last. I've only been here a year and I've already replaced 3. And I would like to replace 6 servers. And I've worked on also 3 of those. They're just old. Everything gets old. These things are up 24/7, 365 days a year. So we get them out. Some of them I can consolidate. We want to need so many servers. If I move some of the stuff to the cloud, we definitely, obviously, we'll have, you don't have to purchase servers there. So some of them we can get around. That's all I have. But the firewalls are really important. We want to get those done. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go on and guess at the signature, because it looks like a prescription written by a doctor. Is this Jim Stewart? Okay, come on.
You just want to leave it at the bottom of that list.
You want me to?
Yes, I'm fine with going to take a look.
Okay, we can do that. Judge Gutierrez.
Hello, I'm kind of before Mike will get it. Basically, my budget request that I sent in, the only thing I really adjusted, if you look at everything the same across the board, with the exception of our computer software, we requested an increase. I think it was at 7,200, or requesting it was at 10. That's basically a set software fee that we pay. However, I have been working with Jason on updating my computers and my scanners and everything else, the new scanners that we're using to keep up, because we've been having a lot of issues with our scanners, which keep in mind, I've been here for a while. So when we went up with NetData, we purchased the scanners that we currently have in office, which was in 2011. So they have the office that we've got where we have we're trying them without the software, I guess an annual subscription fee, but if it does not work, we'll need just a little wiggle room in case we need to purchase the maintenance fee along with it, just for the, I don't know, the substance that it does the packaging, that it does the cropping and edge corrections and things like that. It deletes the second page if it's a blank page, stuff like that. So basically it's just in case, to where it's not like, oh, I'm over budget, I don't have the money, just to allow for that. The only other thing that we're requesting is the JPs would like to see about getting vehicles allowed, if not to allow for a salary vehicle allowance of $12,000, or just so we don't have to wear and tear on our personal vehicles going through. We would like vehicles for our county businesses coming to and from work and for our on-call weeks. And again, that would be for the county use.
But you get mileage now.
Yes, sir. You do get mileage.
I'm not sure you just get something right now.
I did speak with our neighboring county, Atascosa, and the current JPs over there. They do get the $12,000 salary allowance, and they also still submit the mileage. So they get both over there. So I have spoke with the neighboring JPs in Atascosa. I spoke with a judge. I spoke with actually Judge Vaughn over there in Atascosa County, and again, they get the $12,000 annual allowance, and they still submit for their travel expenses. So that was our only adjustment, our only deal. With the other things with the salaries and stuff like that, I'll take up with them. So I realize that that's not on this one.
If you would be, if you want to request it, there
Well,
will be one.
that's right, and on the deals like if y'all do not want to consider the salary allowance or the vehicle line items to allow for us to have vehicles assigned, then to allow for the salary increase to be put on the next one. So to have the vehicle description items whatever it is, or fill out the vehicles. So I can already get one of those. The appropriate line items for vehicle expenditures or the salary travel allowance individual option.
Oh, I think you were referring to salaries for your office.
The salaries for my office, for my employees?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to be including that whenever we get that budget, because I haven't got anything on that spreadsheet.
That would be something that you would request now, because that's what this workshop is for.
For the salary side of it, or for the budget items? For the salary side, I would also like to increase again, I told you all about that last year, about my second clerk, thinking about increasing her salary. Last time I didn't want to raise her up with my head clerk, but if we could meet somewhere in the middle there, give her basically, say 5,000, 10,000, but just try to meet me somewhere in the middle with that. Like I said, as far as the clerk side of it, I have the most experience within my office. We are all Texas certified. This isn't something I'm just completing a class. This is something that we went to be certified in the state of Texas, not only in criminal, but also in civil. This is something that we had to test out for, get this certification, and it's not mandatory by any means to do our job. But I'd like to recognize them and give them that incentive to better themselves because they're doing it for our county and for our offices. So, and that's on healthy salary.
Judge, Commissioners, get back to the, before I start going, get back to the probation department or probation officer. Basically, it's, Teresa Miller is right. It can't go with the county attorney. It's got to be with the, particularly law enforcement, through the sheriff department or to the probation department for the state. The state's willing to take it over. But the thing is, we want to be able to utilize this person if it's be like some slow periods during the months or during the season that the sheriff could use that individual on other duties that pertain to the sheriff department. So basically that's what we want to elaborate on that. There is money out there we can look for. And I think we haven't made it appropriate. The basic thing is that the state probation department is against state law for them to know about the county probation. They do it on courtesy because we're still considered a rural county. And that was the biggest thing. The biggest thing, we don't want these individuals to fall through the cracks or miss. Basically, a lot of these individuals that we do put general locks on or ankle monitors, they don't live in Wilson County, they live in Fair County. So once they get out of this county, then they're hard to locate, hard to find. If they're not really spending any kind of time or spending time trying to locate these individuals where they got their interlock devices or their, and there has been, since I've been there, there have been several of them that they've been caught through the cracks. And no fault of nobody else because we just don't have the way to operate the county probations properly. So just being said on that part.
Just for clarification, are you referring to the same thing as the juvenile division coordinator?
No, that's completely different. Adult probations.
And you said there's a statute on that?
I don't have the statute on it, but we talked about it. Basically, it came from the probation office in the state. I'm going to look that up and I'll get back with you on that part. The other thing is I'd like to request a part-time employee. I know I requested last year for a part-time for January to December. I'd like to go ahead and request that. However, it will be not as much as I asked for last year. I was looking for somebody to do like 64 hours a month, which is $960 a month, which averages out to about $11,500 a year, $11,520 a year. Basically, all that, what I really need her, because I got one chart, and she has no downtime. She's always, it's a hit and miss. She does debt claims one day, she does fight takes another, and she does evictions. I mean, it's real sporadic. And what I need is somebody to come and try to relieve that pressure. And and I've been, we do warrants, so I take care of the warrants part of it. And that's the part I take care of, that's my responsibility, plus the registration. That's one item. And that'll, work out, find out if it's not in the budget. I like to have at least a line item change from seasonal help to part-time. So last year, year before that, there's $3,000 in the budget for seasonal. Last year, y'all gave me $4,000. This budget, you gave me $4,000. Y'all can find it to 520. I'd like to have a little increase on that and change that line item to part-time help. We're going to make sure we can we stay within the realms of the rules and regulations for the county.
Judge, how many hours are you requesting for this part-time employee?
Roughly 64 hours a month, and then break it down to
32, so 16 hours a week?
Yeah.
16 hours a week.
Correct.
30.
2 days a week. And going like the vehicle allowance and stuff like that, I kind of concur with all the other judges, especially Monica, that I think we need to have that. Because there's a lot of times we go down, they're not even roads, they're the cow lanes that we've got to go to these individuals and for inquest, and we all got good vehicles that, they get scratched up in the bush and stuff like that pretty much often. Basically the wear and tear, we get paid for a mileage, but we're not getting paid for wear and tear on the vehicle. And just since I've been in this operation, I know about 25,000 miles on my vehicle. So that being said on that part. As far as the budget, I just had a, I don't know if you want to call it a slight increase, but it went from 40,835 to 45,500. It's just a slight increase on parts and repairs, computer software, telephone, and non-conference travel expense. Basically, that's our mileage. The salary, I'm sorry, let me back up. The rent on the building, it's going to stay the same. I talked to our landlord, and he's not going to increase it. But however, in 27, he's going to sell the building. So when that takes place, we're going to have to renegotiate that contract. So I expect that we'll have an increase, a substantial increase on that building for the office space. So that's something we can see. There's any alternatives where we get that part down the road, which is roughly 24 months. Conclusion for part-time. And basically that's it. If y'all have any questions. Thank you.
So as far as the permanent development department, I think our biggest expense that we're looking at or looking for at this time is possibly getting permanent software. The way they were operating at this time is pretty rudimentary. We're working with cash and check. We don't accept credit cards. We don't have the software. We don't have the capability to take credit cards at this time. We're working with Excel sheets. We've taken paper permits. Our permit clerk makes 3 copies and hands one off to driveway, to septic, and to development for flood and inspection. What we're proposing is to bring our department back into 21st century. This would allow for people to upload their permits online, people to pay with credit cards, and not to mention that our server, one of the ones that that Jason was speaking about, is on the verge of crashing. We had a little bit of a panic moment the other day when we started crying out for help. Well, we have all our information on that server. Like, we don't have cloud backup. Aside from that, it's paper. So we're asking for possibly like other counties in the area, to bring back, like I said, 21st century. People take credit cards and have people upload. This would not just help our department, but for the proposed fire marshal's department, so also you can do fire inspections through there and permits, and also for development as far as tracking subdivisions. We've spoken to a couple companies. we've gotten a couple quotes. I think the one that we're possibly mostly interested in is available through Byboard. And they've given us initial fees for the setup, and that would be including pulling all our information into the cloud for $60,000 for the first year. That operating cost of possibly $30,000.
You say 7?
60.
60, but you said something.
30,000 yearly.
The 60,000 was just for installation.
Installation and implementation.
So the,
90.
well, that was my question. So is it 60 for the first year?
No,
or that's
60
just
for the
set
first
up?
year.
And so it is plus, or is it 30,000 the following?
30,000 the following year.
So basically it's 30,000 set up and 30,000.
Yeah, and all these are negotiable at this time. This is just preliminary vetting that we've done with these software companies. We've done two other ones that we've spoken with. OpenGov is probably the one that we're the most interested with. It was more narrower, easier for people to work with, easier for the county. It has unlimited users as far as administrators. So let's say a commissioner is driving the road, what they're doing currently right now is calling us and be like, is there a permit out for this? Well, with this program, they have an app on their phone and they can look up and see whether there's a permit out. The same thing with our inspectors right now. They're going out there and they're catching stuff, but it's all a matter of calling back to the office and asking whether there's a permit out for that property or not. In this case, it's all cloud-based. It's beyond their app. They can look it up on their phone, be able to take pictures, be able to track and keep information on there. That's our biggest expense we're looking for. The other thing is upping our bond. We only have $150 budgeted. I'm looking to get Jerry Lee and our permit clerk bonded as well, and I don't know that we can meet it with $150 that we have budgeted. With this software, of course, we have to get more information on it, but possibly it's either a people use a phone or a tablet or anything like that to go out in the field, but definitely trying to get our inspectors a little bit more mobile and out there.
You know what that bond increase would be?
We could get it at 300. But not just the permit clerk or not just me can accept the payment when they come in for permits.
So everybody's bonded.
No, and currently we do need Jennifer bonded. She accepts payments too for health and safety.
And you think it's about $300 a year per person?
300 for each, all of us together. All of us together with 300. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jerry, you doing that anything?
I have a question on the vehicles in ours upfitted for having like a mothership that's on it for the police vehicles.
If it's budgeted, you mean?
Yeah.
That's what you're asking? I'd have to go back and check to see if it was included.
Well, yeah, because I think all that was set, so when you pick your vehicle, if you want, yellow flashing lights or whatever, then you've got to tell them that they will have that installed as part of the lease.
Right,
It's
they've
not,
already received their vehicle.
I know, but if they've already done it, I mean, it would be, you can ask them, they have to tell you how much it would cost, and they'll pay for it, I think, right?
I can look at the wording that
Chances are it probably was not included. I'd have to go back and double check because if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was only the sheriff's fleet that was included for outfitting, but I can confirm.
So your road hasher will just couple in the front and the back.
Yeah, so you would just request that in your budget for help get a quote for however much that's going to cost, and it would be separate from your lease payment and the budget.
But I don't know that you can update the lease vehicle. You need to check with Enterprise first, so let's see what they will allow you to do, because like for the sheriff's, and I think for yours, you told them what you wanted on there, and they gave us a price per vehicle, however that vehicle was outfitted. Some people got more stuff, some people got less stuff, so.
I did the live wire after, I didn't get involved in anything, but I also know how to pull it back off, because I installed it.
Y'all are gonna have that.
So I can give you.
But remember, those are not our vehicles, they're titled in the enterprise's name, they're not ours. So be careful.
What we did is, we put our own lights on there so we can pull them off.
Right, so whatever we add to the vehicle just becomes that much more or less at trade-in. Regardless of what they came with. So I'll confirm that in a second. Yes, any questions?
We would be taking $3,500 off of Jason's budget for servers if we were to get this, software just because the new one.
Yeah, and something to remember is I keep her data backed up as well, not very far away, about 200 feet away from where the actual server is. But also the copious amounts of just paperwork, the archived actual physical paper that she has in that building hasn't been backed up or scanned. And all of that will be going up as well as the digital part of it that she has on that server. And that server is one of the things that runs last way. I do have a backup of it, but I mean, there's more to it than that. She's got a lot of paperwork in there that if there was a flood or a fire, and it's a 3-month onboarding process, and part of that process is the exporting and importing of all that data.
I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said about taking?
Well, he wouldn't have to replace our servers. That was the $3,500 that he had budgeted into the new servers. He wouldn't need to, that would take out off his budget.
So that would reduce your 90K by 35?
Did I
Well, you probably want to keep it down.
I'm asking because there are a lot of requests, so if something's not needed, every penny is going to help.
It's more like 5,000 is what that server would cost to replace. However, I was planning on consolidating that server into another one. I was going to bring all the smaller servers into one, and that's what mine reflects. So I would have one larger server that can actually handle more departments' data. Right now, we have one server per department, pretty much.
Any questions? Your Stewart?
Judge, go back to IT. Do you replace this audio system so that our
Yes, sir.
people can hear? Are we going to do that this year, or does that need to be in
That'll be in September, sir.
Okay.
And that's not 66,000 for that?
Yes, sir.
And it's the same one as supposed to be?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask something on that right quick? So, at SOSA, even during Commissioner's Court, they have somebody who mans that. The clerk and her assistant do not man that system.
That is correct.
So has
We are
that
not
been
using
taken?
the same system, we're using the same company.
Okay.
That system is built for a courthouse that you can drill into the walls, you can put anything anywhere. I mean, it actually it's a dedicated commissioner's court, right? So it's not also a court when it's used by judges. So that is not the same system we're getting. It's a lot more extravagant. I don't know if you've seen it. It's almost like a cockpit. It looks like DJ booth.
DJ.
Yeah, that's it's not exactly Apple graphics.
Okay.
All right. Already returned the basic operating budget to MRE, her request. On my current operating budget, I think I've cut $100,000 or a little over from the current operating budget. Based on my calculations and instructions given by her, there would have been another $80,000 available there had I chose to take it, which would have put my operating budget at $180,000 more than what I'm going to come in at. My thought process in doing that is to utilize that money for, salaries for my people. In addition to other possible salary increases, but that was my intention, was if I could cut that, and my budget's huge. My operating budget is what, 1.3 million, something like that.
Without salary? Yeah.
Without salaries, my budget's
About $1 million.
It's 2.6, 2.8 for both of them. So cutting $100,000 is, a few percent, but it's doable if I watch my budget close enough. And opposed to that, then I go back to, now we're coming back to the salary side and the personnel side. Stockdale ISD and Post ISD both reached out to my office and requested a full-time school resource officer. They're willing to pay 70-30 split, 70% they pay, 30% we pay. Contract been looked at by the county attorney's office. I think Evelyn and Teresa both give them a go ahead that contract looks good. If I need to be more negotiable with the schools, I think I can do that. My deal for the schools is, legislature 2 years ago, if your population is under 350,000, the sheriff's responsible for safety and security at all schools in his county. Lavernia ISD has got Lavernia PD, I don't know, they got 3 or 4 officers working that work for Lavernia PD on the same contract, 70-30. They work for the city during the summer. Floresville, of course, has its own ISD police department. I don't think either one of those are going to reach out to us, but at this point in time, I couldn't hire that many people to take that over if we wanted to. It would be something that we would have to look for in the future if that was the case. But I do know that looking into this, we have in order for me to hire and maintain good quality employees, I'm going to have to get in the market with the current salaries. Right now, I took an average of 9 departments. Guadalupe County SO is bigger than us. Seguin PD is bigger than us. Volume-wise, not necessarily size-wise. They're only 26,000 people. Those were the 2 highest paid, but the average of the 9 entities was $60,550. That's the average starting salary. Our current starting salary is $55,326. I need to get to that average if I'm going to maintain. Historically, if you're going to keep employees, your critical time is year 4 to 5. They start wondering, especially young ones, is this where I want to be? Is this what I want to do? They start getting a little antsy with their feet. Well, we are working on year 3.5 to 5 on a lot of employees I have. If I do not do something salary-wise to maintain and retain them, I'm going to be back to where I was 4 years ago and be trying to fill this with untrained people, basically right out of camp. And that, I've already seen how long it takes to make it work better. And that's 3 to 4 years. I don't want to lose that. We need to find some way. I know I have basically made room for, if you divide that by every person I got working for me, 180,000, you're basically looking at about $1,600 a person. So I've made up $1,600 of that $5,000 that I need to get even. I need to find $3,500 more. I think, I've talked to Brenda, because of the late distribution of the towers, the reason they didn't come in until June, we're not going to get them out. I had budgeted $420,000 this year in my budget for vehicles. I'm only going to get paid for 2 months, August and September at the most. I should have a couple $100,000 of my vehicle budget still left over at the end of this year, which could roll to the salaries next year. $5,000 times 9 people is what, $450,000. I'm almost at 200. I've made almost a third of it.
What's your contingency? If, let's say you do that, the court said you can convert that, and all of a sudden mid-year, your jail just goes to pot, doors break.
I did not cut any, I didn't cut anything in that budget that was crucial items. Anything in that budget I cut was items I could probably sit there and go, well, we'd really like to have it, but we can do without it. And, the jail started operating quite efficiently using commissary monies and other monies that they take in to purchase things that we weren't putting out of our budget before. I have no doubt that I can operate on the budget that I cut. Unless, yeah, if the wheels fell off of something, if the building collapsed, yes, I probably could. But under normal circumstances, I think we'll be all right.
Sure, isn't there some grant money for the SROs?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
we missed it for this year going into next year to start, but there's potential that
correct.
Following on, there would be some grant money.
And I think it would be more appropriate for the schools to request the grant money than us. Either agency can. I think it would be more appropriate for them to request it. I think it would be easier to request than easier to fulfill if we had the positions in place.
Stockville's coming into a huge windfall. Tax abatement we just approved. What's substantial, correct?
What was it? I don't remember actually.
We know what the county can say about $50,000 a year. They also.
And is that 3 years from now?
Yeah.
It starts 3 years from now whenever that would actually kick in. At the completion of the building project.
It'll probably be in the first year of the project, which the intent is for this to be the first year.
Okay.
About 10% valuation at most, and then the second year would be the following, and then the pilot program would start. So they're not looking to get anything of substance the first year. Second year, they will. The third year, they will.
Right. Is pay the only thing that's keeping them here? Or they'll want to leave? I mean, you and I worked together for over 30 some odd years. And our pay was, you know what our pay was, sir.
I know, ours was lower than maybe around. Except for the SO.
I remember looking at that pay check, we had $100 left for the whole month.
You know that I can't attract experienced people without having to pay them. I can probably attract the unexperienced one, the one that's never been out on the road, whatever. I don't know whether I maintain them or not, or retain them. That's something that we're fixing to find out, because I'm at that point. But I do know that there's no way, there are people out there that I know I could convince to come work for me that got experience. I don't need to train them, but I cannot for what they can get somewhere else. I've got to get closer.
How many did you have? You had, what, 2 left and went to Karnes County for $5,000 a year, roughly?
Yeah, Karnes County is about, right now they're right at 3,800, I think, more than that.
Do they provide their corn to take home from Karnes?
I do not think they do.
So,
I have
think we
the
are the
answer.
only ones.
so my point is, they went there for $5,000, they probably spent $3,000 in gas to go work.
Yes, sir.
They might as well increase.
Well, but, you know, I mean, that's the problem is, I worked on a job here in Forestville, and there were people leaving here for 25 cents an hour to go all the way to New Braunfels or San Marcos for 25 cents an hour. It's like, dude, now you've got a 2-hour drive, and you're going to have, you know, quadruple or 10 times your gas cost. Well, everything on your car.
And unfortunately, if you look at that from my perspective, the ones that I have that are driving here that get the benefit of that take-home car can stay right where they're at and make $7,000 more a year and not have to drive to work. They live in Guadalupe County. They can go to work for SO, DPD. They can go to work for Lulu. They don't have to drive 45 miles to go to work. They don't have to because they're already living there. So I could lose those just because they're not going to lose that money we're talking about. They're not. It's going to cost them now $5 a day to drive. what I'm talking about. Actually, if they live in the county, they get to take home the car, as long as they're in the county. That's the one thing I do, is allow them to go one county over.
Yes, so, Commissioner King asked me to do some research and comparison, between Atascosa and Karnes as well. So to clarify for Karnes County, and I'll just mention some things that haven't been brought up. They do pay 100% for health insurance. Patrol units, they are allowed to take home patrol units, including out of county. They also get retirement and paid holidays. They also receive $1,200 a year per deputy for clothing allowance, which equates to $46.15 per pay period. Atascosa, they also pay 100% of employees' health insurance. The deputies do take home their county-issued vehicles, and they have 16 paid holidays. They also get a uniform allowance of $120 per month. And the only thing different that Atascosa does, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my calculator, that equates to $1,440 annually for their clothing uniform allowance. The only thing Atascosa does differently than us in Karnes is their county policy is that all of the sheriff's department employees are paid for overtime, whereas all other county employees accrue only comp time. So that's a benefit for their deputies as well.
You provide some for them, right?
It's in his budget as a uniform line item that the county pays.
We supply all of them, except for one.
Right, they take the down for that. Which is
Because to me, I think I can supply it cheaper than you can pay $1,400, so I supply it cheaper. That's why I do it.
It's kind of like the service. You know,
Yeah,
go over there, try it on.
and you're more uniform than each one of them's wearing the same basic.
Correct. We had buyers uniforms in the military. They were not provided to us.
You know, comes in type thing, but yeah.
And we are buying uniforms. They weren't free.
The Karnes and us are very compatible as far as people across the board. But I said I would look for the two SROs. Basically, the benefits package on those two, which would be somewhere about $35,000 a year, $7,000. The benefits for one employee, $70,000 for those two. I also believe, I think I gave, today was the first time I actually spoke about courthouse security staff, but I think I need one more courthouse security position because we had 100 something transport last month. There were 20-something days. There's only about 22 work days in this month. That's 5 transports a day. And for me to maintain what I would like to see is us doing what Dawn had asked for. I would like to see us making roving patrols for all the county offices during the day through the courthouse security, but to maintain security at the actual court itself and do that is not really feasible on a regular day. It might be, but on a court day, you got too many people to be able to do that. I think one more person here, which would then be up to 5, 6, 7 in courthouse plus a supervisor. I think that would make it more functional if there's room for that position. We can function at it now just because we analyze those transports, unfortunately. I'm not planning to go up. They come up before. A majority of them.
Sure. Do you know how many of those transports were marshals?
I don't think most of them were not. Last month, mostly, I think we may have made 1 or 2 federal transports. The rest of them were TDC, back and forth.
Taking care of
There were 60 of them that were in county, which means that was just how busy the courts have gotten. It's back and forth from the jail to the courthouse and back. And that people are going to change those in one day. You know how many people when you do a transport TDCJ, do they come get them, take it to Huntsville TDCJ?
Depends on where they go.
Now,
I have them to Beeville,
Okay.
and some of them to west side of San Antonio, Highway 90 or 1604. On the west side, we got Leader Streamer, something like that. It goes there. Now, the last time we had some in Huntsville, they were out.
We don't use a transport manual or whatever, right? We use a regular unit.
It depends. It depends. If we got multiples, we may use a van, but normally it's a lot more efficient to just take a Tahoe on that type of transport. I'm talking.
Anything else?
Cheryl, can I clarify, just for my numbers, you are looking at, or requesting for the deputies to be raised to $60,550, is that your request? Okay.
And that's, like I said, that's the average of,
Anything on the jail side, or?
On the jail side, the only thing that I really would make us helpful, and the judge is setting on the inspection reports. There is a lot of paperwork that is required by the jail standards to be kept up and to be monitored closely. And the jail administration, just making sure that stuff happens is a full-time job. Jail administrator has, I give that to you, as requested a position, just a clerical position, to do nothing but collate and keep all of this stuff and make sure we keep it in a timely, accurate, and look for mistakes. Make sure that we don't have that stuff. And it's so crucial, like I said, the judge is doing that. That is probably one of the more crucial things that we do is document everything we do back there. And that clerical position would be real handy in jail. And like I said, she's done a real good job of, and I've got the maintenance position open that I've got to work position, and we get the job done better. I'm trying to have the person that's capable of doing all of that stuff in-house. So I may technically have part of that position in-house.
So you want to work on that position to that position to clerical?
If it comes to
already know Simon said he's glad to be your maintenance man. He didn't need.
but I was going to tell Simon earlier, I'm in the process of purchasing through commissary funds a commercial lawnmower. And once the EOC is finished, trustees will take care of my outside. Okay. I will take care of everything from the EOC all the way through the front and back. I will take care of all of it with trustees. We've got some good trustees. The lawnmower is the only thing I was lacking as far as being able to handle that much country. I bought one that I think will handle that without getting broke down. And we're going to start and try that and see if I can keep the maintenance up over there, which should free him up for more maintenance stuff over here. Other than that, the only thing I was going, and I did this 3.5 years ago, but if you look at manpower figures for a police department or whatever in the city, most of the time they look at having 2 patrol officers for every 1,000 people. So if you got 40,000 people, they look at having 80 officers to cover those 40,000 people. I don't know how close they are to keeping that, but if you even figured 1 to it, right now, the sheriff's office is responsible for probably 40,000 to 50,000 plus people in this county for their safety and security. And the geographic country that we have to cover is a whole lot more than the city has to cover. But I think, based on that, my staffing probably needs to be, if I can get, if things are level out in the law enforcement world where people want to go and do the job. 35 to 40 deputies, patrol deputies, is what I need to do that job efficiently.
What do we have now? How many deputy patrol deputies?
Right now, I got 21 patrol deputies and 4 patrol sergeants on the shifts. So I could handle the 35 without any more supervisors. The supervisor can handle 10 to 12. So I could handle up to 40 something with 4 sergeants on shift. But yes, I'm looking at probably adding about 15. I need to add about 15 positions on patrol.
Any given day, I mean, on per shift, how many deputies are on patrol, excluding supervisors?
Shifts full 4.
4 per shift, 4 per shift count.
When I'm full, which I have applications in background to be full within the next probably 3 weeks, then it's actually 5. No days off, no training, no, on a perfect year, I got 5 plus assignments. I think that's
the lowest per shift that we've ever had.
what's the
What's
lowest?
the lowest?
Lowest 3.
Is there a mark for you to say?
I will not go below 3.
Okay.
If I get below 3, I will call somebody in overtime. They will not work less than 3 because I got too much country to have somebody out there all by themselves that has no chance of having somebody back on there. 3 is the lowest I know.
Prior to that, it used to be 1.
I
Not too
remember
far
days
down.
when he was working with me and him were the only one out
Deputy would go on at midnight. We wouldn't see him until the next morning. Nobody but
and we were out there all by ourselves. But there was a lot of people.
Yeah, and a long time ago, yeah, it was 0.
Any other questions? Anything, any concerns that I brought up? But I'm willing to look for options. I need to make this happen, but I understand if I got to cut, I actually have some options available if you all would like to discuss it on the salary stuff that I think it works. If you like.
Sheriff, use that money out of your budget on your vehicles. What's going to happen next year?
Well, but as we continue to grow, as the county continues to grow, we're going to increase revenue every year. If we can hold out 2 years before, with me saving and everything, we can absorb that and you won't really notice it happen. It's not like, okay, I'm going to spend $500,000 this year out of past stuff, and next year I don't know where the money's coming from. Because we know we're going up every year. So we can keep saving, which is what we all should be doing anyway. Try to save everywhere we can, and then spend where we need to spend. That's the way I look at my budget. I say I can operate as efficiently as I can where I can. As an entity in whole, in the whole county, our employees should be the number one thing. We worry about operating, but our employees are the number one thing. Because without them, this place doesn't operate.
You're right, Sheriff. Your agency's going to continue to grow. This county will.
I was just wondering what exactly our population is right now.
It's about 53, I think.
If I could further clarify, did you understand what he was saying with regard to the savings that he was talking about?
Yes, ma'am.
So it goes back into our fund balance because he's not going to spend it this year. And so what we would ordinarily budget for him next year then would be spent, that the savings would come from this fiscal year going back into the fund.
It'd be money we had already allotted. If we had used it, this new money, it's money we've already allotted that we didn't use. And if I got that, why lose it? Because we already put it out here. And once it goes over there, it kind of sometimes can go in the black hole. Which I figured out and started using it. Yes. That's the way I look at it. And, like I said, I do have some other options that we can look at that I know when you have a large makeup like this, sometimes it's tough all at one time. So I know other entities that have done this before, and done it like 2 years instead of 1. I think y'all might be interested in listening to that. If you want to, I'll go into it now, but I'll just go into it. I really don't want to stomp on my own foot if you already decided whether or not you can go there. But if we did nothing but go from supervisors down and leave all my command staff at just whatever raise you're going to get for the year and bump everybody, and then next year we'll make that gap back up. That doesn't make it all come in at one year. Yes, it takes 2 years to get to the same place, but my command staff is more than willing to, if that's what it takes to get our lower ends better, standing still this year per se, and get it looked at next year.
You said you had 21 deputies right now in the budget.
Right.
No, 25 per year. Were you putting sergeants in command staff or not?
No, sergeants and down. It'd be lieutenants enough that I would not touch for up in sergeants.
That's your other option, but prior to that, when you were including the 60,550, that was for how many deputies total? 21.
Well, no, you got however many at the courthouse now. I know that's something we still need to talk about, but that would apply to those also that are not technically not right now under my budget, which would make us go to 25, 26. That's what Dylan's got. Deals on it. It'll be somewhere around 25, 26 actual deputy positions.
Including courthouse security?
Including courthouse security.
Some of those deputies are already at or above the 60,550. So what would be your request for those that are?
The ones that are above that salary amount.
Well, I haven't looked at that because all of mine are so young, I would have thought they were all.
I think there's just a
Well,
few of them. Some of the longer tenured staff.
but I think the only longer tenured staff I have are now supervisors. They're sergeants. Nathan and Joseph were sergeants, so they're going to be already, they're making actually more than the sergeants probably, but because of time. But I don't think that many of them that are actually above that right now, that are at that entry level.
Anyone else? We can move to the next item. We can move to the next item B, right?
Yes.
So I requested a discussion and possible action or voting on salaries because I knew that Sheriff Stewart was going to request the increase above and beyond the cost of living increase that Judge Whitman and I have discussed. And it's critical for me and Kristen to know what, have an idea of how the Commissioner's Court wants to proceed with that. Because the Sheriff does house the highest staffing, it takes a lot of time for us to go in there and ensure we have to do it individual, by individual. So Judge Whitman has me working on a potential 4% cost of living increase across the board for all county staff. With what the Sheriff is requesting, to increase his staff, and if it's at 25 people, give or take or some, to increase those starting deputy pay to $60,550 on their current salary of $55,000 with a 4% increase would bring them to $57,200, which is a difference of $3,350 per person, or $83,750 just for the Sheriff's Department for the 25 employees. So I just need some direction from you on how you want to move forward with, particularly the sheriff's request, because out of everyone who spoke today, there was not any specific request, with the exception of Judge Gutierrez requesting consideration to increase her second chief clerk. She didn't give an amount, but for your consideration there. And then Ms. Barnett's request for increasing by flat amount versus percentage. We do have a total of 3 full-time positions that are being requested, which would include benefits as well. So with that being said, I just need some direction on what you want entered, because I don't want to go one way and put in a cost of living increase across the board for everyone, and then have to turn around, because it takes about a week to enter the data, and then have to take it all out and redo it if you decide that that's not what you want to do.
What is the 4% amount to countywide?
I'm sorry?
What is the 4% amount to countywide? How much is that?
Kristen can pull it up.
I mean, it don't have to be that, you know.
I want to say,
$5 million.
no, I want to say on average it went from, it was an increase, I think I emailed it to the judge, I think it was an increase, I'm going to send it on 3%.
Total budget, I think it's about 13 million, somewhere around there, on the 4%, just in salary.
No, how much is the 4% increase?
Oh, just to increase itself.
So the 13 million minus the 4%, basically.
Yeah.
So.
But let me just confirm that, because that may have been when you initially flooded 4%.
You're talking about 405.
$615,000. Yeah, 617,000, and that's not including the increase in the fringe cost. Correct.
So based on what you know about taxable values and potential tax rates and all that, is that doable?
The 4%? Yes. As of right now, because I've already plugged in, I did get the values today from Ms. Burnett for her to certify. And so I have already entered potential revenue. I did speak with the sheriff, because one of the revenue streams that will be decreased significantly in the new budget year will be our federal inmate revenue, where we budgeted $800,000 this year. We're not even going to come close. So that revenue will be budgeted much lower in the new budget year. However, we do have some areas in the new budget that I'm working on that we will not have to incur. So
it balances out. But that, what I've worked on so far does include the 4% increase.
How much was the 4%? I'm sorry.
About 617,000.
And so having that as a target number, I agree with Mrs. Barnett, and that I think that we've been a lot more successful in helping out our starter, or at least people who are new to the county, and getting an increased wage there by doing it in a dollar amount rather than a percentage.
Yes and no. We started when I started in 20.
Well, I mean, let me get her to answer, and then if you'd like to take the microphone, of course.
When I started in 2019, the starting salary or base rate salary here was $12 an hour. We are now at $18.94 per base rate pay. My recommendation for this year, and every year that we've done that, we've increased that bottom salary in addition to whatever the cost of living increase that we give every year. In order to prevent an employee who's been here, let's say John has had an employee here for 1 year that started last year at $18.93 an hour. Well, it's not fair to that employee who's been here a year that we have an open position that somebody is newly employed is going to get paid the same amount that the person that's been working here for a year. So my recommendation to the judge was, rather than increasing any open positions that are currently at the $18.93 an hour, increase current staff and leave that, because to me, in my opinion, $18.93 an hour for a base rate clerical position is above average compared to, it's a good living wage in our county compared to other places. So I don't believe that the $18.93 is an unfair amount for a starting wage. But I do believe that we're at right now in an increased existing employees.
We did the $3,000 across the board.
$3,500. Mm-hmm.
What does that look like if we did that again?
I don't have those numbers prepared to give you, because that's not something we discussed.
As far as the percentage, so, yes, everybody, says, yes, let's do a percentage, but once again, your lower people are getting a smaller raise, where your people that are salaried higher are getting a much larger raise. So that creates a bigger gap in between. So in my eyes, where all of my, people, I actually haven't had everybody has been there almost a year, they're making the lowest bottom when we just brought in a newly hired janitor making more than them. So those are the things that we kind of need to keep an eye on. Because, once again, the employees in my office are the ones bringing in all of the tax money that pays the salaries of these employees. And I know everybody knows their employees do good jobs. Don't get me wrong. But doing a percentage means that I'm going to get a higher raise than my bottom people. And that's across the board. That's everybody. So I just think that's something that needs to be considered. Last year the set amount, yes, I think that's more fair to employees.
How many employees do we have?
220, give or take at any time.
I think it's roughly 186 full-time, part-time, 20-ish.
Yeah.
20? I've been 185 times $3,500, $650,000, and then you got to figure figure another 15% if they're actually employees, so it could be like $700,000 to do a $3,500 cost support at $185,000.
$854,000 would be the amount on a $3,500 per employee. That's what $3,500. It doesn't, that's what you asked me.
I said 3,000. Maybe I.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna hate me with this.
Either way, okay, go ahead.
Well, is there anything wrong with doing 4% for our wages that are based between our base rate of $18.94 and a wage of $21, and then doing 3% at the ones that are at $21.01? Like I said, I knew you were gonna hate me for it.
No, that's not my decision to make, Commissioner. That is completely your decision.
But
I would think you can.
It's gonna accomplish the same thing as far as helping the lower number come up higher. And
What lower number are you referring to?
hold on, your $18.93 at 4% is less money than $18.93 at $21 for 4%. So that person on the bottom never catches up. You make it a little more fair for the bottom one. If you give them 4 and give the next one up to 3, that same job, salaries get closer together.
and elected's 1.
But that's what percentages do. It increases the high side and keeps the low side further and further behind.
A lot of people being saying, why did he get more than I got? He's not worth it, have people quitting.
Did you come up with a number of 2,000? If you do what? 730.
I will say that prior to,
We gotta.
But we did that
Give up
one
our
year.
rate and give it to the employee.
there we go.
We did that one year, and it was gonna be 8 cents per.
It wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
Prior to, let's see, we've only done a flat dollar amount in this county 2 times. Ever. Which was $2,000 one year and $3,500 last year. It's always been a percentage. And it's always been, prior to 2019, it's always been less than, at 3% or less than.
How much is our revenue going to increase this year?
As of right now, just on ad valorem, we're looking at about $2 million just in ad valorem. Now, if this, I believe Sheriff Stewart, what I calculated was $3,350 per person to come up to the $60,550 for the deputies. If that's something you want to consider across the board for every employee, we can consider that, or if you want to consider the 4% for all staff, excluding the sheriff's department, and increase the sheriff's department deputies to what he's requesting, we can do that. Your decision.
I don't mind if y'all do the work up on 3,000.
She can do that right now. 3350.
Well, at 3,000, it was 732K. 4%, 617. 3,000 was 732. 3,500 is 800.
It was 3,350, and that's what I'm not on. No, it never has been, it's always been different, so part-time would get, part-time would be half.
186 employees at $3,000 is $558,000.
But he's saying 3,350. $817,400.
That's how many employees you're calculating. You count part-time as well.
Could be a little less.
Yeah, it'd be less, not to exceed that amount, because we'd have to go back to the office and recalc, I mean, the numbers that we're throwing at you are not set in stone, and nothing is final until you vote on it, until a proposed budget is given to you on August the 15th, and then you vote on a final budget. So that's just to even say that we can work in, because it's also going to depend on the added positions that are requested and all of the requests that were presented to you today with regard to the software and from the different departments. So
With that, sure, that is part of your position.
Sir.
What was that?
Are you still thinking about using the difference on the fee?
If they come with a 3350, whatever, that you just figured. I had 1,500, 1,570 something, 1,600 saved back. Can I still use
You
that?
would not have to decrease your budget then.
I still need that to make my 5,000.
Yeah, he's.
Oh.
I gotta come up to 5.
Yes.
I gotta come
Yes,
up to 5,000.
I'm sorry,
I would be using that in addition to.
Correct.
That would get us there without really affecting anything as far as total budget.
Correct.
Correct? I mean, I'd be losing that $100,000 or whatever off of my operating, but I'm good there. I am.
Which is currently in your vehicle budget. It's not going to be.
And if you use the unused vehicle budget back, or actually any of my unused budget that I turned back this year, if you roll it over to that will help. And there may be a little bit of a jail time.
How about this? How about let's try to help them out as much as we can. Let's say $3,500. Run the numbers and see if that'll work.
Okay.
And I mean, considering these other requests, I mean, that puts us close to where we need to get. It helps him out. It helps everybody else out because they're getting not a percentage, they're getting a flat amount. And then, like I said, you can, I mean, I think this county's got to the point where we need to have job descriptions with salaries attached to them, and so there's a beginning and there's a certain range for whatever, and that can change each year when the salaries are set, but I think it would just make it simpler because, I mean, the four of us have the same problem. We've had people that have been hired, some of them been here for 20 years, and so they make really good money, but we've got others that are just as good or maybe better than that employee was that have only been here 2 years, but we can't get these salaries balanced out between what these guys are doing, so.
So Commissioner, can I clarify then right quick, just for the Sheriff's Department, at the $3,500 per full-time employee, on the Sheriff's deputy starting at $55,000, that would bring them to $58,500.
Right, well, I'm saying, no, he's got his 1,500, he's saving.
Well,
Yeah,
so my question to you then is, are you going to make a motion to vote to approve to increase the deputies in addition to the $60,500 for $550 per employee? That's my question.
That gets answered. Sure. Said something about your lieutenants and stuff holding off and getting everybody else, or are you trying to do everybody?
Well,
I would.
Whenever you're giving up
She
your
has
budget.
figured this into doing everybody, the numbers are working. If you can do it, I just assume move up to keep my spread in between my ranks. But if it meant us holding back to allow the bottom to come up to us for a year, to make this work not so big a chunk at one time, I'm more than willing to do that. And that kind of, what does the numbers play out? If my lieutenants and up need to hold station at, if you want to give them 4% or cost of living or whatever, we'll accept that and live with it this year, and then we'll revisit this next year to make the gap.
Well, your lieutenants and that would be included in the
In what
3,500.
you just gave,
Correct.
that's fine.
Right, so my question is just on the deputy side, or that's what I need for your consideration.
But your calculation of 1,500 a deputy was across the board. That's for all of your.
All of my positions, correct? That's all, you just talk about deputies or all of my positions?
I'm just talking about your deputies, because you only referred to the 55,000 annually for deputies is what you were talking about. So I'm just calculating deputies.
60,000 for the deputies.
60,550 is what you requested.
That's why I asked that question.
So I guess for simpler terms, if we calculate $3,500 per employee and I can make that work, is the court willing to approve any additional salary increases that the sheriff wants to give to any of his staff above and beyond the $3,500 if he can make it work within reducing his operating budget? Did I say that correctly, Sheriff?
I think so. I think that basically, can I utilize other monies in my budget?
Correct.
To supplement?
If he is able to recognize savings in his normal operational cost and transfer that over to his employees, then yes. But you can't ask for a vote. We're a quorum right now, aren't we?
Yeah, that's we're a court.
It's an action
So
item.
it is an action item to where we're to the point that we
Yeah,
can,
it's on your
but we
agenda.
need to do it all at once with that in place, right?
I'm sorry.
One single motion because it's one. So we need to give direction on all of it at the same time.
We got kind of dynamic. We got 2 or 3 things on here. So
Really what I needed, really, from Preston and I personally, is what above and beyond, let's say 3,500, whatever the overall increase for all employees is, do you want to approve above and beyond that for the sheriff's department? Simple as that.
He can find the money
Out of his,
saved out of his budget.
correct, if it does not affect the bottom line. So that's what I would ask for your consideration. Because the rest of it, you're going to have to vote on it anyway when we get time, once you get the proposed budget. It may be that I go to right, it may be that I go to the judge as the budget officer and say, we can't do 3,500 per employee. I don't know yet until I get some answers from you guys. So, yes.
She tested that. So the process is going to be, if we vote that, and we approve that, you'll go back and prepare that. And so then at the first meeting in August, you will have a proposed budget for us that has everything in it, correct?
I will, not at the meeting, but I will email you a proposed budget before it gets filed to the county clerk. I file a proposed budget to the county clerk on or before August the 15th. So before I file it with her, I send the commissioners a copy of it to review. But it's not
In that,
something.
you will tell us what.
Yes.
How.
Yes, now we will have a budget hearing, which is a public budget hearing. At that time, if any changes are requested or additional requests come before the public, and we still have time to change it because the budget approval process won't happen until September. But it's critical that we know now what direction to take so that we can get to that point. So.
Okay, for the sake of Gail not going crazy on us, let's make sure that we get this motion correct. So I'll entertain a motion. And the wording here is correct. So, okay.
Let me give it a shot. Okay. So I make a motion to approve the salary increase for all employees of $3,500 plus if the sheriff can whatever savings he can have from this year's budget will be rolled into increases for salary increases up to the $60,550.
And $50.
$50.
Commissioner, if I would add pending, we are able to do that, because I don't want you to
Pending budget
approve
review.
that, right, yeah.
Budget review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second. We have got beat. Motion made by Commissioner Morrison, seconded by Commissioner King. Is there any other discussion regarding this lengthy motion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against nay. Ayes have it, motion passes.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn, Commissioner King made motion to adjourn, second.
Yes.